62-0, Skyview all over Cedar Valley. The Aviators get annihilated in the second round here in Smithfield tonight. Here in the Auto Leave broadcast booth, John Newbold, Rex Davis, Diana Young, our producer, back in studio. And good night, Rex. What a performance by the Bobcats. Another shutout, their fifth shutout of the season.
Yeah, basically, if it could go right for Skyview tonight, it did. You could even say a couple calls went their way as well. But, man, what a complete, total team effort out of the Bobcats. Case and Carlson, I don't know if I've done many games where a kid's accounted for 7 touchdowns like Case and Carlson did here tonight.
Well, that's impressive. And the thing about it is, like, even if you're in a game like last week where a Mountain Crest defeated a really bad Uinta team and beat them 71-0 or whatever it was, even with those kind of games, what Carlson did, he did mainly in the first half.
Yeah,
I mean, it's impressive stuff. He was throwing some good balls. His offensive line gave him time, and he was on the money tonight.
Yeah, he had 6 touchdowns in the first half. He got 1 in the second half, and then Coach decided to pull him after that. But just a great effort all around from the Bobcats.
Yeah, what was it? So he accounted for 7 or 8?
7. I haven't down for
one rushing.
7 total touchdowns.
All right, so then he had 1 rushing touchdown and he passed for 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so impressive stuff there as Coach Hal is down on the field meeting with his team. I'm sure there was some things that he'd like to go over, but recapping this game, the Bobcats jumped out on Cedar Valley and pretty much made it a no contest as we had a running clock in the second half. The turnovers that Coach talked about as we look at the keys to the game, Rex, in the pregame, he talked about the keys. He wanted to get their quarterback, Jackson Hooley, off his spot and show him some different looks. Well, they definitely did that.
Absolutely. The kid had maybe 5-6 pass attempts all night where his feet were able to be set.
He wanted, the second thing that he talked about is he wanted to create turnovers defensively, and, well, that was pretty obvious. With getting Hooley to throw the ball not where he wanted to and to have that internal clock being off, Rex, there was at least 3 or 4 interceptions, some fumble recoveries, so the Bobcats took care of that as they get the turnovers. And then to convert on third down, that stat might be a little skewed a little bit because guess what? They scored on every down. But when they did, I mean, that Brigham Lewis pass that was right here, the big 3rd and long, that was a 3rd down play. So, I mean, stuff went their way tonight for the Bobcats, and they get the 62-0 victory. My goodness, haven't seen a score like that for quite a while. One score update, Mountain Crest, with 4 minutes to go in the game, they got down and kicked a field goal. And they've had their field goal struggles this year, so they kicked and scored 24-21 Mountain Crest over Stansbury with still about 3 minutes left as Stansbury actually just turned it over on downs, and so Mountain Crest has the ball on Stansbury's 27-yard line, and they lead by 3, so Mountain Crest could pull the upset there.
Yeah.
And Mountain Crest, if that happened, they'd be moving on to face Dixie down in St. George,
and that would be
that matchup.
Tough matchup for Mountain Crest to have to take on Dixie, but Stansbury's a tough matchup as well.
All right, so we're joined in the Auto Leave broadcast booth with Trayson Martindale. And Trayson, first of all, congratulations on the victory. How does it feel? You guys got your 5th shutout defensively this season.
Feels amazing, but we're looking for more. We're looking for just more than just shutouts.
Well,
we want the whole thing.
Trayson, talk about it. Your defense, one of the keys Coach talked about with me before the game is he wanted to create turnovers. You guys did a great job with the interceptions tonight. Talk about, I mean, the interceptions this season that you have had as well as, like, what your squad has done with, like, Scout Morris, Peja Prom, and others.
It all starts up front. It starts with our D-line, getting good pressure on the quarterback, forcing some bad throws, and we can just pick it and goes from there.
Well, Trayson, I've got to ask you, one of the things, you look at football, there's not a lot of hard-hitting safeties like Ronnie Lott and Steve Atwater around anymore, except you.
There's no way he knows who either of them are.
No, he does. He does. You know Ronnie Lott, right?
I do.
See, I told you. I knew it. I know
Ed Reed.
I know he. Okay, Ed Reed. You know who Ed Reed is?
I do.
Okay. So where do you get that mentality? I mean, you just go in there and you always lead with your shoulder and make a good solid hit. Sometimes you get flagged for it, but to me, it's a solid hit with your shoulder first.
Right. It just starts with, it just starts with the intensity. You got to just feel like if you hit them harder than they hit you, it's not going to hurt. You got to be the hammer, not the nail.
Yeah, well, Trayson, again, what a victory tonight for you and your squad. You go into the quarterfinal round next week, and you'll be facing a Mountain View team. They beat Tooele tonight, 35-14. So what do you guys have to do to keep this rolling? Because it wasn't a perfect game, even though you got the shutout. What do you need to do to keep that focus through the quarterfinals to get to Rice-Eccles in the semis?
Just practice hard and become better than we were. My favorite coach, Stu, always says that to us, and it gets me hyped up.
All right. Well, Trayson, we appreciate what you do for the squad, and would you like to give a shout-out to anyone before we let you off the air?
I'd like to give a shout-out to my grandma and my grandpa and my dad.
All right. Well, congratulations again on the victory.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Again, that's Trayson Martindale with leading the charge for the defense tonight. And now we'll hand the mic over to Coach Hal. And, Coach, we went through the keys that you told me before the game, and I have to say you checked every one of those boxes and got a big victory tonight in the second round over a good Cedar Valley team, but you guys really took them out of their game.
Yeah, I felt like our kids, we made some mistakes. It looked like we'd taken a couple weeks off, some of those procedure things and some holding and some of that stuff. But I was really proud of the way our kids overcame that adversity and continued to play hard. Really, really physical on both sides of the ball. I felt like we really were the aggressors, the attackers tonight for sure.
Well, Coach, there's one thing I got to ask you. Like we said, it wasn't a perfect game. There was one time in the first quarter where I don't know if you called the timeout or if it was just a stoppage in play where there was something you didn't like. You got the whole team huddled up. I haven't seen you that animated before. What was it that you didn't really like that you saw out there?
Well, we got a couple personal foul penalties. After talking to the kids, maybe we deserved them, maybe we didn't, but I did not want those types of things to beat us tonight or in the future. We have to make sure that the other team beats us. We don't beat ourselves, and that's what I was upset about because I felt like we got inside the red zone and then got backed up offensively, and then they had a long field, and then we gave them a short field by just saying something we didn't need to say when it was just a simple fix. Just fix what we need to fix and move on. We can't let some of those small things affect us the way we do sometimes.
Well, Coach, want to get your comment about your signal caller, Carlson. We have him accounting for 7 touchdowns on the evening, and I mean, you didn't have a lot of third down situations because he was putting it on a dime on those passes tonight.
He's a really good football player, and when Mason got hurt early in the year, I told people that, and they kind of looked at me like I was just being coach speak. But he's a really good football player, and he's just continued to get better. And he was ready to play tonight. I could tell when I looked in his eyes in the locker room early on that he was ready to go. That week off, honestly, beyond the procedure penalties and those types of things, it really helped us. We keyed in on a handful of things that we weren't doing as well as we wanted to, and we focused on those, and I felt like we came out and those kids did a really good job in those situations.
Coach, Scout Morris tonight had an interception, he had a fumble recovery, he had a touchdown reception. Can you talk to us a little bit about Scout Morris and just what a grinder that kid is?
Yeah, and if you notice, he plays multiple positions on defense. He's our free safety, and he does such a good job back there in that. And then when we go to our nickel package, he becomes our nickel. He's also our best cover guy, and that's why we put him at nickel. It allows him, and he's smart. It allows us to do a ton of different things with him, and he does not make assignment mistakes.
Yeah, we have him for about 8 interceptions on the season.
Yep,
so.
he has 8, and I think I'm not looking at everybody's stuff, but I haven't seen anybody with more than that.
No, he leads 4A for sure.
Yeah.
Coach, couple things after your 62-0 victory tonight. Another Region 10 opponent next week. Mountain View defeated Tooele 35-14. A lot of people expected that to happen because they had already defeated Tooele at the end of the season. But do you know much on Mountain View?
Yeah, I know their coach really well.
Oh, okay, Coach Anderson?
Yeah, Tyler Anderson. He's a good friend of mine. We had a connection at BYU a few years ago, and we used to work summer camps together every year. And so I know him well. He is a great coach. He has really good offensive scheme. We'll have our hands full. We'll be tested like we haven't been tested in a few weeks. And so we're going to have a really good week of practice. Our kids will be focused, though. They understand. They've been in these situations before. So we'll be focused. We'll make sure that we coach them hard, and we'll be ready to go. But they'll be good. They'll be really good.
All right. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. And is there anything else you would like to say before we let you go?
No, just appreciate the crowd. Again, the student body showed up. It was cold once that sun went down, but we definitely appreciate it, and we look forward to another great home game next week.
All right. Well, Coach, congratulations, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thank you very much.
Again, the Skyview Bobcats get the victory, 62-0, and fifth shutout on the season, but a tremendous job. And as Coach Howell just mentioned, he knows Coach Anderson from Mountain View. I believe it's Deuce Anderson, the quarterback, another dual threat, and a very good quarterback with Mountain View and the schemes that they present for teams. But I'm just going to go ahead and look. We've got their schedule here, like not Mountain View's, but Mountain View is in the same region. Mountain View defeated Cedar Valley 49-14 on October 10th.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea of
kind of a common opponent, Mountain View also handled business against Cedar Valley. So I think this is going to be a good matchup. I really do. I think you guys are going to want to tune into that one. That's a good matchup on paper, at least.
Yeah, and we'll have another afternoon game we're expecting around anywhere from 3 to 5 on the game. So stay tuned to KVNU throughout the week and listen to Al Lewis. He'll give you more details. On that. But Mountain Crest is leading still 24-21. And now Stansbury has the ball on their own 37-yard line, under a minute to go in that game. They're at Mountain Crest's 47-yard line, so that game's going down to the wire. Mountain View is the 7th seed in the RPI. Skyview was the 2nd seed. So our player of the game will be Kason Carlson, as we already mentioned, because he had accounted for 7 touchdowns tonight, 6 through the air, 1 rushing. And then the bread and butter player, Old Gristmill bread and butter play of the game. Let me pull it up here. If you call in to the full court press from 4 to 6, when Eric Franson and Ajay Salveson ask for the bread and butter play of the game from this game, you can call in and tell them that it's back-to-back plays, a 36-yard pass from Carlson to Lewis, and then a 25-yard pass after that to Falslip for the touchdown. And that gave Skyview the lead 38-0 at that point of the game in the first half. So it's the back-to-back plays, Brigham Lewis catch for 36 yards and 25-yard catch to Falslip for the touchdown. Rex, any last thoughts before we get off the air tonight?
No, I'm just really impressed by this Skyview team. Total team effort tonight. Coach Howell mentioned, a couple of personal fouls that need to be erased. This Skyview team can really only beat itself, and against Mountain View, you can't do that kind of stuff. As we go deeper and deeper into these playoffs, they can't make these silly mistakes like that. But I think Coach Howell's going to get that cleaned up. Really impressed with Kason Carlson. I thought when Mason Falslip went down at the start of the season, I thought there goes Skyview's season.
And then, a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, and then Kason Carlson's the real deal. I believe he comes from a football family, and he's the real deal through and through. I'm so impressed with that kid. 7 touchdowns on the night. Scout Morris, another standout for me. Just a total team effort from the Bobcats.
So one more step closer to a state championship for the Skyview Bobcats as they defeat Cedar Valley 62-0 tonight. They'll be facing the Mountain View Bruins next Friday here in Smithfield. We don't know the time on that, but it should be an afternoon game. So again, congratulations to the Bobcats. We'll be back on the air next Friday. The other scores today: Park City defeated Logan 20-0. Green Canyon 28-21 over Cedar. Pineview 49-7 over Bear River. Dixie 38-7 over Ridgeline, and then the Bobcats 62-0 in the victory tonight. Mountain Crest, the Stansbury had the ball at midfield, trailing 24-21, under a minute to go. So tune in. You can tune in to listen to the end of that game on 107.7 FM. So for Rex Davis, for Diana Young, and for myself, John Newbold, have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you next Friday as the Bobcats host the Bruins in a quarterfinal matchup in the 4A state playoffs. Have a great weekend, everybody.